This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Sacramento, California, West Sacramento, as we're getting you ready for the A's and the Padres. Michael, can you turn me up just a little bit? My headphones just a little bit. Just right there. It is so good to be back in West Sacramento. The ballpark is absolutely beautiful, looking great. We're going to have the weathers. It's like 70, like 72, 71 degrees. It's absolutely ideal. The Padres are in town. It is the first real homestand that we have had here, because the last one against the Cubs, it was just a quick 3 days. This is a full homestand. It's 3 against the Padres, a day off on Thursday, and then 3 against the New York Mets. How are you, Cody?
I am great. It was great to see the A's win 2 of 3 in Colorado.
No doubt.
Soderstrom, Butler getting hot. 7 of his last 14 he's had a hit? Or 7 of his last 14. And Jacob Wilson continuing to be Jacob Wilson. I hate using that line, but he has been Jacob Wilson as advertised, so it's been exciting.
Who else would Jacob Wilson be if he's not Jacob Wilson?
Can't say he's Jack. He already has more hits in a row and it started the season
but
than his
he's
dad
Jacob
did.
Wilson. Who else would he be if he's not Jacob Wilson?
Imposter syndrome? I don't know. He's Jacob.
Jacob Wilson will be here today after batting practice. Have you set up a camera so people can see BP?
I did, yes.
How are we going to do that? I'm curious.
Here. Look, you can see it on my computer. Go ahead, Michael. Switch it over.
Switch it over. We want to show people. Yeah, we got a camera. Look, you're big league, Commander.
Yeah, well, since NBC has been gracious enough to let us use their cameras for our show on the set, I set up our cameras to shoot some BP for people for B-roll when we're going to commercial breaks and all that, when we don't want to promote things in the promotions department for the great Vittorio DiBartolo and his team.
I love it. That looks awesome. So a new wrinkle that, of course, if you're watching on YouTube or on X, if you're not, you're just listening, what you're missing is seeing guys take batting practice. So
you can switch it back now. Great
job by you. Chris Caray is back in action. We have 2, obviously, on NBC Sports California. We have 2 lead play-by-plays on television. Jenny Kavnar, who does the majority of the road games and does games here at home. She's A, and he's 1A, I guess would be the best way to put it. So he will start his season here in West Sacramento at the ballpark today. So Chris Caray, we want to reintroduce you because a lot of people are like, where's Caray? We want to make sure that everybody realizes he still has a job and that he's going to be on tonight, and his parents are going to be working. So his parents will be watching, or at least his mom. His dad, obviously, is Chip Caray with the St. Louis Cardinals. But
he will be working. They're playing tonight.
Just so mom knows that son still has a gig, so we're going to put him on today.
Oh, you don't want to go full. Michael said it, our astute production assistant who's running the board for us, behind the scenes set up. Also, he's like Johnny. He's walking around getting paid.
A lot of people walking around getting paid. I mean, at least you know we're working for what we get, but a lot of people walking around getting paid. Jacob Wilson here after batting practice. And then because the Padres are here and Jacob Wilson is off to an incredible start, finally struck out for the first time twice yesterday, we're going to have Tony Gwynn Jr. on. And great to talk to Tony Gwynn Jr., obviously, about the Padres, and they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. They had a big comeback victory yesterday, so they didn't get swept in Chicago, but they're off to a great start. But just talking about Jacob Wilson and the ability to hit and the ability not to strike out and to constantly make contact, constantly make quality contact. Well, that's who his father was, the great Tony Gwynn, the Hall of Famer, the 8-time batting champion. So I think it's just fitting to see what Tony Gwynn Jr. has seen in Jacob Wilson, because everybody in baseball is talking about it. Paul Hembekides from ESPN predicted he'd win the Rookie of the Year award here on this show, A's Cast Live. So a lot of reasons to talk to Tony Gwynn Jr. with the Padres in town. And, of course, kind of talking about Jacob Wilson being in that line of guys like Ichiro and Wade Boggs and Rod Carew and, of course, the great Tony Gwynn, guys who make a ton of contact, hit for high average, and all were first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Famers. As, we talk about baseball living in the margins, like where if everybody's doing the same thing, where can you get an edge? It's in the margins. Well, all of a sudden, one of the edges, and the Padres do it, is they hit for average. They did it last year. They're doing it again this year. They don't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play. Of course, you want to hit for power, but there is something, too, when you're getting on base and you're hitting. And so we'll talk to Tony Gwynn Jr. about that. Big news in the A's world, obviously, Joey Estes, if you haven't heard, tough start here to open up the season, then got roughed up yesterday. Joey Estes sent down to AAA. Now, how to view this is there's a couple days off coming up here. There's Thursday and also Monday. So the A's will not need a fifth starter until they take on the Brewers in Milwaukee. So something that really David Forst, his guys, gals, and Mark Kotze, they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to make any decisions. Jason Alexander, no, not from Seinfeld. Jason Alexander,
not George Costanza.
George Costanza did not come up. Why? I was getting people sending me gifts of George Costanza today because Jason Alexander was gone. Jason Alexander's been around for a long time, 32 years old. I think he went to Long Beach State. He's a dirtbag. He's going to come up. He's started a game in AAA. He's 32 years old. So it gives you another arm, as you're just going to need 4 starters. Knock on wood, you'll just need 4 starters till you'll need that 5th guy. We've praised JT Gwynn for his incredible start, 11 innings, 19 Ks down in Las Vegas. He's been good. He's going to be an option. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that's the major news today, that Joey Estes has been sent down. Major news last night, Vlad Guerrero Jr., as the Blue Jays had tried to land Shohei Ohtani. The Blue Jays tried to land Juan Soto. They've been looking to land a big-time free agent. Why? Well, because the Toronto Blue Jays represent Canada. They don't represent a town. They represent a country. And Rogers, the communication company, is doing really well. So they're an ownership group that's got a lot of money. They've put in, I want to say it's over $300 million into, I was about to call it the Sky Dome. What's it called now? The Rogers Center. So they put like $300 million into that stadium. And it's a retractable roof next to the, they got the hotel connected, but they're keeping up with the Joneses when it comes to the ballpark. They want to be a big-time player in the American League East. Obviously, these deals have not worked. These long-term big money deals have been, none of them will work. We haven't seen one work yet. There's a lot of belief that the only long-term deal that's ever going to be worth anything is Shohei Ohtani's deal because of the return on investment, the money that he's going to make the Dodgers, and he has already made the Dodgers. But when you look at the Blue Jays, this is a branding deal. This is a deal. This is our guy, and I always feel a lot better paying one of my guys, right? You're paying him for what he's done, what he's going to do, but you're paying him because he's one of yours. And they're going to be paying him till he's 40 years old. What's he going to look like? He's battled weight problems. He's battled that. I mean, he's got himself in much better shape. I don't have this deal, I don't have a problem with it because it's your guy. And you know what? You'll accept that. We always talk about when it's your guy, there's a lot of equity put up in that bank, right? You got a lot of goodwill stored in the bank. When you're a free agent, you have none of that. And I always refer to Barry Zito. When Barry Zito got that big contract with San Francisco and he didn't pitch well, Boo Birds came out. Look at what you saw with Chris Bryant in Colorado. You have no goodwill built up. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has all kind, born in Canada, right? He was born in Canada.
He's a Canadian native, yeah.
So he's got so much goodwill built up, and he's going to have a phenomenal career. You're buying a lot of the years of his prime. He's just, 26?
Yes, 26.
So your prime really starts at 26. You're buying the prime years. I know at the end of this deal it's going to be horrific, but at that point, I don't think it will matter to them. I have no problem with this deal, and I'm happy for the Blue Jays that they're keeping their guy.
Yeah, and you look at his deal. I mean, he has the second highest AAV for a first baseman ever, behind only Miguel Cabrera's $40 million. He's going to make $35.7 million annually. And I said we were talking about the Blue Jays earlier, and I mentioned how they're paying Kirk. They're paying Anthony Santander.
That's not a lot, though.
Barrios. I forgot all about George Springer. They have Springer. They're paying.
His deal's coming off the books.
Yeah, so they're paying guys. So you asked a great question.
Well, my whole thing is, it's always been bad Vlad and Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, Bo Bichette's led the league in hits twice. He's been a guy that's super athletic shortstop, maybe the best hair in the business.
Oh, he cut it.
What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with him?
Yeah. You think that they would want to keep him and keep that young core together, because you got Kirk, another young player, along with Vlad. Barrios is getting, he's close to, if he's not 30, he's close to 30. Springer's aging, he's going to be gone. Santander's still not, is he 30? So they have a nice little core they're trying to build after missing out on Ohtani and Soto.
They've had success. They've just stunk in the playoffs.
Yeah, they haven't won a playoff game.
Their last three playoff times they've been in the playoffs, they're 0-6, 2 and a Q, 2 and done in these 3-game sets. So they've been successful.
I'm gonna get Caray, because
the question will be what they do with Bo Bichette. But that, once again, we don't know what baseball and the landscape of baseball is going to look like when the CBA's up. We're seeing a lot of players. Jackson Merrill has just signed, and Jackson Merrill is not in the lineup tonight, as I do believe he should have won Rookie of the Year last year, but he's one of the exciting young players in baseball. He just signed like a $170 million extension. That is the thing now, and I like guys that are re-signing with their teams and they're not testing free agency and they want to spend their careers, or at least the majority of it, for Vlad Guerrero Jr. That will be the majority. That will be his entire career as a Blue Jay. I like it. It's a branding deal. Sometimes the baseball deals, sometimes not everything makes total sense, but I like the deal for the Blue Jays. Well, now joining us here on A's Cast Live, I felt like at some point this young man needed to earn the money he's being paid. You were going to hear him this year doing games on A's Cast and the A's Radio Network, but he will be back in action tonight. As I essentially said, we have two main play-by-play people on television, 1A and 1B. You are 1B. You are back in action tonight. Chris Caray still works. We're proving it right here. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to be on A's Cast. It's good to see you guys. And, I kind of had nothing really to do for the opening homestand. So to be able to go to work again and do some baseball is a really wonderful thing, something I'm super excited about. So, getting to work with Dallas and, of course, seeing you guys in the pregame show and doing the changeup with you. I mean, it's going to be an incredible opportunity, and it's going to be great. And hopefully, there's a little bit less offense, but still a lot of fun offense here in Sacramento tonight.
Well, if people don't know, for the first series, you stood basically right over here to the right the entire time, and I kept looking at you going, we got to get this guy going. We got to get you going. So this, to me, is like your kind of like a spring training, kind of like your batting practice as you're back in business tonight, back on TV, doing what you do best.
Well, just getting my voice a little warmed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to go 0 to 100 like on a home run call, but it's nice to kind of walk into the ballpark, and everybody had an understanding that it's my first game of the year, and everybody wished me well. And I felt like, guys, this isn't a holiday. I did this last year already. I mean, you don't need to make me feel like a rookie again. I already went through that last year. So
no more rookie hazing.
No, it's sophomore year now. Sophomore year in the capital city with Capital City Chris. So
yeah.
It's it's gonna be a fun time. Getting to work with Dallas and play against a really exciting team like San Diego straight from the jump. I better get my home run call ready.
Yeah, there's going to be some balls flying out.
Yeah.
The Padres can hit. The A's can hit. Obviously, the A's have hit a home run. They set a record. They've hit in 10 straight, a home run in 10 straight. I was thinking about that. I actually said it yesterday on A's Cast on NBC, where I said, usually, because we talked about passing the 0-2 team, and obviously the 0-2 team for the where were you in 0-2?
I was 2.
You were 2 years old. So the Moneyball team was a terrific team. They won 103 games. They won the division. Obviously, they won 20 straight, lost out in the playoffs to the Yankees, but they were a very special team. And that's a much better – I don't know what this year's A's team is going to be, but odds are they won't be as good as the Moneyball team. But it just really goes to show how much baseball has changed to where home runs are just more of just an abundance, to where just everybody hits more home runs. I mean, Back then, hitting a home run in 9 straight games is like a big deal. Now the A's doing it 10 straight. It doesn't seem like this is magical.
No, but you know what is magical? A guy who's currently on an 11-game active streak dating back to last year, now 10 straight games with a hit with Jacob Wilson. I mean, you're going back to the type of game that we like, the type of game that Steve Sachs likes, hitting for average, guys being able to get on base by any means necessary. Luis Arraez on one side, the future phenom, the stud, and Jacob Wilson on our side. I know a lot of people are drawing comparisons, and I remember you were talking about Luis Arraez being one of those guys that you see that can pick out a spot on the field and be able to hit it during BP and just say, hey, I'm going to go to left here. And be able to kind of have that pinpoint hitting accuracy. Jacob Wilson's not there yet, but the bat-to-ball skills absolutely are there. And to be able to see that and see the game not just embracing the home runs at the major league level for a long time, for the last 5 or 6 years, the only thing that mattered was home runs and, 2 outcome type of guys. Now you're starting to see a shift where, okay, teams can start adopting those players that are hitting for average, and maybe they'll sacrifice a few long balls in their end-of-season totals. Jacob Wilson, is he going to be a 30-homer guy? Probably not this year. Could he be 10 to 15 and give you 300? Sure. And I think that that's a very big piece for this A's club and something fun and exciting to watch going forward.
Yeah, I well more than 10. I mean, I see this could be 15 to 20 with a batting average that could be 340, could be 350. That's why we're going to have Tony Gwynn Jr. on a little bit later to talk about this, because it's just, you see it. You've been around the game your entire life, so you've been around a lot of big league baseball. Then you started your career in the minors, and you see in the minors, like immediately see, this guy's way better than everybody else, right? You start to see that, and I think we're starting to – Jacob Wilson not going to come up here and be better than everybody else, but he's showing a skill set, right? We talk about baseball is played in the margins right now. What is something that a lot of teams don't have? Padres kind of have it. A's haven't had it. It's guys that make a lot of contact. Guys that actually, that's like an anomaly now, a guy that can come in and like, hey, this guy's going to hit 330, 340, and what that can do with a bunch of guys around him that hit for power. It's kind of like Jacob Wilson is coming in. He's like exactly what the doctor has ordered, is what this lineup needs.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I think about it is, let's say, a very average driver like me gets to go in a race, and I'm racing against all Toyota Camrys, but I get the race car. Jacob Wilson has already the tools like the race car. He's able to find the pitch that he wants to hit. He's able to drive it the other way. He's able to do every little thing the right way. And then on top of that, now those other little things that he's learning at the major league level, not only does he have the sports car to beat everybody else, but now he's learning the other essential skills, maybe on the defensive side, maybe a base running side. But other than that, he has the skills that everybody else is trying to acquire already. And that's from birth, from his father. I don't know, when he was in college, he struck out 30 some odd times in his college career. I mean, this guy is incredibly impressive. So to be able to have that base already and to still not know where his ceiling is going to be is something incredibly impressive. And he's burst onto the scene really early, which is super exciting.
Jacob Wilson's coming. I'm going to have to bump you. By the way, you wouldn't fit in one of those little cars. Which you don't understand.
What are you trying to say?
What you don't understand is how big this guy is.
Oh, man.
How tall are you?
6'4".
Yeah.
6'4".
He's a big guy.
Somebody called Jacob Wilson 6'2". What the heck is that about?
Jacob Wilson
is a little taller than 6'2".
Are you
6'3"?
You're legit 6'2".
No. You stood. I'm 6'4", and I'm taking every single inch, and you're eyebrow to eyebrow with me. So,
well, now that we've added all these relievers who are 6'8", you could be like the point guard of our basketball team.
No. We have way better athletes than that.
You're a star.
Thanks.
I've been telling everybody for a while now, this kid's a star. We need to enjoy him while we have him, because he's going national and he will leave us at some point. This kid is a star. Enjoy him tonight on NBC Sports California.
Love you, Towny.
Just bring him now.
Yeah, let's pass on the other stars. Let's take
now.
on the real star here.
Let's bring on the dude. Jacob Wilson's joining us here. I can't wait to tell him the story about last series. So last series, I'm just standing there. We're watching the game, and a guy says, hey, Towny. And I turn around. He's got an A's jersey on, an A's hat, and he's got sunglasses. And, I'm like, because people can – anybody can reach out and talk to us here, right? So I go, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. He's like, yeah. Jacob's father. And it took me a minute to like, oh, Jack, how are you? Mm-hmm. So we got to meet your father up here. He was up here for a while. We were talking about, obviously, his career. He had an unbelievable career and everything that he taught you. just the start of the year, the family and everything. How is this season going?
Oh, it's going, awesome. Obviously, the record-wise, we're not where we want to be right now. We're
Yeah.
a couple tough losses there, and I believe here at home against the Cubs, and then one tough one in Colorado last week. But we're fighting. We're getting ready each and every day to go out there and play our brand of baseball. So we're enjoying it. Start of the season is always fun. So
there's a lot of hoopla when you came up, obviously last year, and immediately, unfortunately, there was an injury. This year, the start of your season, you got to be one of the guys. Is this really the start, like normalcy for you? Have you enjoyed that?
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Like I said, I love coming out here every day with these guys and putting on the uni and being able to go out there and pretty much go to war with those guys. We go play another team, try to get try as many wins as possible. So just being able to stand side by side with these guys has been it's been an unbelievable experience so far.
Has the game slowed down a little bit for you?
Yeah, a little bit than last year. Obviously, with the debut, everything's a little fast just because you're just so much adrenaline. Looking forward to it for so long. But
yeah,
it's been great so far. Just being able to kind of breathe, take a step at a time, and really just trying to slow the game down as much as possible, like you said. So no, it's been great.
Yeah, Eric Martins and I were talking over the weekend about, because we did a whole thing on NBC about you, and what I wanted to focus on, because a lot is going to be made about offense, but when you talk about what you need to do for this ball club every single day other than hit is play defense and how you've grown defensively. Talk about how much work you guys have put in and how things have changed for you playing shortstop.
Yeah, the main thing was kind of the first step, explosion, being able to try and get to as many balls as I can, working on the, step to the right, being able to get as far as I can to the right, as far as I can to the left, being able to just cover as much ground as possible. I've been doing a lot of great work with the coaches here. They've had very good insight, to playing shortstop and covering ground with the strength coaches as well. But it's been great. You go out there with EMR every day, work with your hand stuff. We work with the glove work, and it's just kind of just taking the routine day by day and been doing the same thing just to stay on top of it, so I can go out there and play good defense for this club.
Obviously, a new home field is going to be your home field for the next 3 years. How's the infield here?
It's been great so far. We only have short sample. We have 3 games, but so far I've been loving it. It's been great. Ground crews done a great job. So it's it's pretty clean out there, and I'm excited to work on it.
One of the big things for me with this ball club is starting to get some normalcy, right? There hasn't been a whole lot of normalcy here for the last couple of years. And obviously just 3 games to start out. Now you're having a real homestand, right? It's 3 games, San Diego, a day off. Then you got the New York Mets coming to town. So wherever you're staying, you now get used to it.
Yeah.
Restaurants, where to shop, what to do, how to get to the ballpark. Do you feel like you're now going to settle into some normalcy?
Yeah, I think definitely with the 6 games we have at home, it's starting to really, get familiar with the area, get comfortable with driving the field every day, being able to drive home, where to eat, all that good stuff. So, it's nice to be able to spend pretty much a full week at home. It's gonna be nice to be able to stay in kind of your apartment, in your own space, rather than pack up every 3 days and go on the road. So it's gonna be nice to be at home.
Well, we have followed your journey since you were drafted out of Grand Canyon to the minor leagues all the way. We've talked to you at every level, and I kept telling you, you're going to be here.
Yeah.
I kept saying to you, this is going to be your job. Yeah. And now that you're here, just talk about the approach of you at the plate. We know you're a high average guy. It's about contact. You've shown you can pull the ball and hit the ball out of the ballpark. Talk about your approach and where you are now.
Yeah, I go out there every day. You kind of have to have a different mindset up here. You're facing the best pitchers in the world pretty much. So just to be able to go up there and look for a pitch that you want to hit in a certain count, and kind of being able to go up there and have good battles against these pitchers. When they want to hit a spot, they usually tend to hit that spot, and you just try to capitalize on their mistakes. If they leave a slider hanging or leave a fastball down the middle, you just try to kind of attack on those pitches, because if you miss those, it's gonna be tough to get another one like that, because these guys up here are just so good. So you just try to go up there and just have good at bats. Try to get on base, try to put the ball in play, and the more times you get on base, odds are you're gonna score more runs for your team. So it's kind of my mindset going into it, just going up there and having good at bats.
Now, your strength, though, is that you do it every day. Not everybody can do it every day. Hitting a baseball is one of the physics show it. It's one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. Your strength, talk about that, is doing it every day, replicating contact every day.
Yeah, I think just being able to work on kind of all that stuff in the cage, being able to work on, hitting a pitch away, hitting a pitch in, up, down, whatever it is, work on sliders, just being able to, see all these pitches before the game, and just being able to do it every day is kind of something that I've really been focusing on, and just being able to go up there and just, obviously with the with the hand-eye coordination, just being able to go up there and, like I said, kind of spoil the good pitches. If they throw a good slider down away, be able to foul it off, or a fastball away, foul it off until you get that mistake. So for me, it's just, like I said, just putting the ball in play is kind of the main thing for me, and just going in the clubhouse, going in the cage every day, really working on everything that I can do to prepare myself for the game.
So to start the season with the hitting streak, you passed your father at 10. Was there a text or a phone call home?
I told him last night. I saw it, so I told him last night. I was like, hey, just so you know, you had 9, I had 10. So just a little friendly banter.
Well, you move your feet a lot in the box. That was one thing we noticed. And your father told us up here about after his career, he got into boxing. There's a lot about movement.
Yeah.
Just talk about the work you've done with your father when it comes to hitting. Obviously, defense, you're both shortstops. So talk about the work that you've done and how he's trained you. And movement's a good thing.
Yeah, it kind of the main thing for me has always been the hands. Being able to push the hands back into a certain slot that I want him to be in to produce as much force as I can. We talked about kind of throwing a punch. Like you don't want to throw it from a very small angle. You want to really wind
static.
out.
You don't want to be still static.
Yeah, you don't want to static. You kind of want to reach back and be able to produce as much power as you can. So that's always kind of where the hands has come from. Being able to push the hands back and really getting into that stance when you want to hit is kind of like a basketball defender. You don't want to be you don't want to stand up too much because the guy can go around you. You don't want to be too low. You kind of want to be right in that sweet spot. So just being able to get to that point and being able to get the hands back to where they need to be and just being ready to hit. These guys throw a lot of strikes. They throw a lot of good pitches. So just be able to be as good spot as I can is kind of the main approach.
Let's end on this. Seattle, Chicago. Then all of a sudden, you're taking on the Padres.
Yeah.
You're taking on the Mets, Juan Soto. How much fun are you having?
I'm having a blast. No, it's awesome. It's truly you go out there every day and it never gets old. It's always just, it's the most fun. Like the kid inside of me is always, ecstatic to play baseball. So you wake up every day, you get to play this game pretty much almost every day, very few off days. But no, it's a blast.
It's what you dreamed about.
For sure. Yep.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you so much.
Shortstop of your Athletics, Jacob Wilson. We're going to be doing this for a long, long time, and I look forward to it.
That's me too.
We got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, now 7 years in a row. Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction, in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford, in the Folsom Auto Mall.
Get your group together and check out all our great hospitality spaces for bonding opportunities, events, or a fun outing of your friends and family. There are 20, 50, and 100-person indoor suites available for select games, as well as an 80-person open-air area with a shaded cover. Secure your group today at athletics.com/hospitality.
Lawrence Butler joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live to express his gratitude to the A's after securing his 7-year contract extension.
It's a surreal feeling. Like you said, I love this organization. They were the only organization that took a chance on me out of high school, in the draft. And, I thank them solely for that. And, I'm just thankful and I'm just grateful, humble to be, chosen to, be able to have this opportunity. And, I wouldn't want it with any other organization than the A's because, they've showed me love since day one. And, I've loved them, 100% back. And, it's just been a mutual thing that, me and the A's have, grown to become, a great relationship with everybody in the organization from top to bottom.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn.
A's first baseman Tyler Soderstrom was on A's Cast Live with Chris Townsend and discussed his ability to play multiple positions if asked to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like with anything, you got to go out and get the reps and kind of learn the position. Every position has kind of a learning step. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely have the athleticism, I feel like, to play anywhere on the field. I mean, I feel like shortstop in the bigs would be a little bit of a stretch. But maybe, yeah. I mean, I could.
You can play third?
Play the music, the liner.
A's Cast Live continues from West Sacramento. Here's Chris Townsend.
We're good.
We good?
Yeah.
You don't look good.
Well, no.
There was panic going on.
Michael's
around
learning. It's okay. He's
By the
taking
way,
a lot off my plate.
0-2, they lost to the Twins. Because 0-3 was the Red Sox, right?
The Giambi.
And then 0-1 was Yankees.
The Jeter flip play, yeah.
Jeter flip play was 0-1?
Correct, ALDS.
And then 2000.
That was the Yankees also, yeah. A lot of bad memories.
So
of the
Yankees, Twins, Red Sox.
Yep.
Chris Caray was 2 years old.
Yeah, I heard him. I was
2 years old.
I was in 8th grade. But let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on A's Cast. Eighth grade and 2 years old. Where were you in 2002?
I was morning show KMBR.
Gary Radnich?
Gary Radnich, yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. Nate's chiming in the studio. He was
Nate
6.
Right, let's see. 2002.
Were you married yet?
I was married in 01. 2002. Yeah, that era was really hard for me because when you do morning shows, as you know, you have to get up super early. Yeah. So that was actually a great time in Bay Area baseball because both the Giants and the A's were in. You had Bonds. You had, by the way, speaking of Bonds, it made me think of Bonds today. Barry Bonds obviously is one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player, and without a doubt, offensive forces we've ever seen. And thinking about the torpedo bat, and now that we study more of it, and I've talked about how what's so interesting to me is how the weight or the barrel of the bat gets closer to your hands, right? So it's more towards the label, so it's closer to your hands. So what it made me think of when you're holding a bat is a guy like Barry Bonds. Barry always choked up a little bit, if you remember.
Yeah,
and a lot of great players have choked up a little bit. Well, the torpedo, because the barrel is closer to your hands, you're not choking up, but yet you have that sensation like you're choking up because the barrel is already closer to your hands. So a guy like Barry choked up essentially to have a quick bat and get the barrel closer to his hands. The torpedo bat, you now don't have to actually move your hands up the bat, but it's already going to feel like that because of the weight.
That makes sense, yeah.
I find that interesting. I don't know how much we're going to get into it over time. Guys are going to try it. It's going to work for some guys. It's not. But it's now you have the people coming out going, well, yeah, it's like golf because golf for years, every single guy who plays any kind of high-level golf has clubs that are made for him. The shafts are the size that are for you, for like me, because I have long arms for a short body. I have shorter shafts. So I've been tested. So you get on TrackMan with Titleist. They tell you, so there's certain irons, the heads of the irons, the shaft. You want stiff shafts, not stiff. There's all these different things that are meant for your body type. Well, now we've been doing that with baseball bats. We're finding out what bat is right for the individual, and every single guy is different. And we're going to talk to a guy from Long Ball Labs, right?
I reached out to Keenan Long. He's been on the show before. He worked with Jed Lowry a few years ago with his bats. I'm efforting to get him. I told him maybe we could do it Wednesday before pregame on NBC A's Cast on NBC Sports California. Maybe we do it then, play it back on Friday. And so hopefully we'll get him. I'm sure we will. And we could talk to him. And there was a good article on ESPN today. I can't remember if Buster Olney wrote it or Jeff Passan, but it was by one of the ESPN, might have been the whole staff. but they asked different players their thoughts on the Torpedo Bats and executives, and there were a lot of guys said they liked it. Some guys said I used it once, I didn't like it. I think it was Ryan O'Hearn from the Orioles said that Sig Mejdal, our friend from the Orioles in the front office, the NASA engineer,
San Jose legend,
former, I believe he was a blackjack dealer up here at a casino in the Sacramento area, if I'm not mistaken. He said that he was instrumental in the Torpedo Bat, but O'Hearn didn't like it. So there are guys that like it, some guys that didn't like it. There's guys that haven't tried it but want to try it.
Well, you're not – if you actually barrel it up on a consistent basis with a normal bat, you're not going to like the Torpedo Bat. The torpedo bat is more for the guys that don't hit it on the sweet spot on a consistent basis and tend to get jammed more.
Guys, that's why Volpe was using it.
This is going to be the bat that's for you. If you're somebody who already hits it on the barrel, you're not going to like it because now the barrel has moved and it's not where you hit it on the bat on a torpedo bat will not be the strength of the wood.
Yeah, I'm going to see who wrote the article. It was what MLB players and coaches are saying about torpedo bats. This is an ESPN article, and they interviewed a bunch of guys. Benintendi, the Dodgers hitting coach, O'Hearn, Dansby Swanson, Ottavino. They did executives, pitchers, players. It's a good read hearing what some guys think about it.
Yeah, but it's just so funny to me how, my God, golfers down to the golf ball, like Rory McIlroy, one of the top players in the world. So there's the TP5 TaylorMade ball. He's now playing the TP5X because of the spin. I mean, they've been doing this stuff for years, and now baseball people act like, well, God, look what they're doing. It's like, you were so late to the game, and actually players have been doing this even before, but it's like the media is like, this is like fascinating that athletes are really, they're really making sure that their equipment fits their skill set and who they are. It's like the baseball media is so far archaic and behind. It's unreal.
Well, look at like the NFL, for a good example. The NFL, I believe, is going to start using Hawkeye for first downs. They've had problems with the first downs. They initially moved right into technology. We made a big deal about Tom Brady taking air out of a football.
Correct.
But yet baseball, people are like, this is the greatest thing ever that they're using new bats. Tom Brady deflated a football, and it was the end of the world in the NFL.
Guys use different cleats based on what the turf is like. Is it snowy? Is it rainy? Is it different spikes for the cleats in football? They're constantly changing. Equipment is hockey. The sticks over the years have changed.
Well, I don't know what stick. Congratulations, by the way. Alexander Ovechkin passed Wayne Gretzky, all-time goals leader, 895 goals. I don't know what stick he's using, but he scores a lot of goals. But yeah, between that and the padding and the rules. Defenseman
sticks are way longer than the wingers and the centers. Defenseman sticks are way longer.
Hockey realized, hey,
I know nothing about hockey, and I can tell you
hockey realized, hey, we're not getting a lot of goals, so let's change some things around. And there's a lot of goals scored, and hockey's more exciting to watch. Yeah. So I mean, sports are evolving all the time. Baseball is just a little behind on it, but apparently Commissioner Manfred did say that it's absolutely good for the game. These torpedo bats in an interview with the New York Times.
Yeah, we need guys to start hitting again.
Yeah,
like it's going to be refreshing. Like it's refreshing to have Jacob Wilson. Because Jacob Wilson might be one of these guys that you wake up, and Ken Korak had the stat for us the other day that the last A to win a batting title, look this up, last A to win the batting title was like 73 or 74 years ago, where an A led the league in batting. We haven't had a guy hit 300 since Josh Donaldson in 2014.
It's been a long time.
Right? So it's kind of like, things need to change.
Michael has it. Crackstaff has it.
Carney Lansford, 1968.
That was in Boston.
That's impossible for him to win in 1968.
And he wasn't even in the league in 68.
Okay, never mind. It's his last time we rely on him for stats.
God, you are Carney Lansford won the batting title with Boston. Carney Lansford would not have been in the big leagues in 1968. He probably was in junior high in San Jose, California. What year did Carney break in? Was early 80s, late 70s?
Yeah, let me see. Carney Lansford.
Carney Lansford was junior high probably in 1968.
Carney Lansford's debut was April 8th, 1978 versus the A's.
Wait, so he is
with the California Angels.
That's correct. He was a California Angel.
I'm looking at our award winners right now. I'll see if we had a batting title.
I go with Ken Korak as my source, the voice of the A's. Because there's no way Ken Korak is wrong.
I'm looking at this right now, and it does not say batting champion on here at all. So
Well,
it might have been
because they didn't have it then. You just
just a guy to lead the league in batting. Okay,
and that
so it might have been a guy in Philadelphia or Kansas City,
like 70-something years ago.
Yeah, so Philadelphia. Oh my, that's a long time ago.
So I'm all in on the Torpedo Bats. I'm all in on guys hitting for higher average. Cannot wait. I mean, I was watching Harris, the guy who's Scott Harris, who is
Scott Harris.
What did I call him?
Oh, you said Harris. I was just telling you his name. Scott Harris.
I know. I said Scott Harris.
Oh, I thought you said Harris.
So he is the president of baseball operations for the Tigers. And I was watching an interview with him today. It kind of frustrated me a little bit, but they're all about winning the strike zone. And they're applauding that they have a couple guys who are hitting under 200, but they have on base percentages of over 400.
Yeah, when you text me about the whole Caray Carpenter thing, they did this last year with them. Carpenter's their best power hitter, in my opinion. I think he's their best power hitter. And he doesn't play against lefties. He had 28 at-bats last year against lefties.
It's the same. He came from San Francisco, and he's doing the same thing that Farhan did. And that's something we'll get at. The playing the margins, right? And playing guys where you think I'm only going to play you against righties or I'm only going to play you against lefties. Do you have it now?
Ferris Fain, 1952, hit 327 for the Philadelphia Athletics.
So when you look at Jacob Wilson, I do want to get into the Tigers' philosophy and right or wrong. I think we need to it's kind of a Rays model in a little bit of a way. So it's like it has the potential to win games, but for your brand and long term, what does it do? I think we need more time. We got to dedicate more to a show because the A's did it too, right? Where it is a philosophy. It's like a get-rich philosophy, but it's not sustainable. Platooning everything, playing to strengths. It's not. We haven't seen anyone sustain it. You play against lefties. You play against righties. Like the Giants won 107 games doing it, and the next year it all fell apart.
Yeah, and Farhan's no longer working in.
And the Rays never been able. The Rays have never been able to sustain offense. Where the Rays have been able to be competitive long term has been pitching, but Rays offense, and they've tried to mix and match a lot, and it hasn't worked. Now, at certain years, it has worked, and people go, "Well, isn't it just about winning games?" Yes, but this is a business, and you want people to show up and go to games and enjoy the product. They don't enjoy it. And since that's not sustainable, we got to go deep into this. We don't have enough time today because we got other things to talk about. I want to get back to Jacob Wilson, but we will get into this. But Jacob Wilson has shown us, and really now Tyler Soderstrom, they've shown us what we're seeing is you're really building through your minor league system. And remember, when we had some really good years, like 12, 13, 14, that had nothing to do with the minor league system. These are your guys. You've drafted these guys. You've raised these guys. And they're now, Lawrence Butler, the same thing. They are now growing up right in front of your eyes. And what this means for the A's going forward, if you look at the first 10 games, there's some good, there's some bad. I mean, a note here, starters through 12 scoreless innings, Severino and Springs, the first two games. Since then, starters have a 6.69 ERA in the last 8 games. Not great. But if we looked at like some real positives here, 4 and 6 in the first 10 games, is that the kids are kind of carrying you and the kids are growing up. I mean, you're seeing Jacob, you're seeing Tyler. Lawrence Butler is getting hot, as Lawrence Butler has 7 hits in his last 14 at-bats, including his first home run yesterday to center field. The young kids, and what these young kids are doing, they're doing more than just hitting home runs. They have the ability to hit for average and to put the ball in play.
Yeah, it's been exciting. I mean, we've both been big fans of watching Jacob Wilson come up through the system. We talked about him hitting 433 throughout the minor leagues. Now seeing Lawrence Butler starting to hit the ball and seeing Tyler Soderstrom hit the start this year, because a lot of people, I'm sure he's heard the talk loudly of, Nick Kurtz is coming and, what are you going to do with him in the future? But he's showing right now, I don't care how Kurtz is doing in the minor leagues.
Knowing Tyler, I doubt Tyler's even thought
That's
about
good to
that.
block it out then. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to block it out. But Kurtz, I mean, he is coming. He is in 414 in AAA. I sent you the numbers on how well he's done in the minor leagues in his
Kurtz
career.
is coming. Kurtz, 72 games, hitting what?
389.
380.
414 this
Kurtz
year.
is coming. And that's another guy who you drafted and you're bringing up through your system. Those are all great things for the A's to be having your guys. And that's something that's really excited about. And, something I want to get to before Tony Gwynn gets here, because it's something that revolves around all of us. And what I'm kind of hoping that this homestand will start to produce. And I talked to Jacob about it. We're going to start our A's Cast on NBC with it. It's time for some normalcy. To get some normalcy going. Because there was not normalcy in that first homestand. There hasn't been normalcy for this crop of players. I don't know why I'm turning around and pointing at these players, because our players are no longer there. It's the Padres out there. But you get what I'm saying. Our players have not had anything normal the last X amount of months, years. It's time for something to be normal. That home is a safe place. That home is, this is where we are. This is where I stay. This is where I eat. This is where I shop. My wife goes here. Girlfriend goes here. We take our kids here. There's got to be some normalcy to home that the A's haven't had in a while. And I'm hoping that this is the start. We are human beings, right? I checked into my hotel, and the young lady looked at me and went, wow, you're here for a long stay.
Yeah.
Because I'm here for 8 nights.
Yeah.
That's not normal, right? So, but already for me, coming to Sacramento, I have a place that I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay at this hotel the entire season when I'm here in Sacramento. This is I'm starting to get a coffee spot. I'm starting to know the restaurants. I know where the gym is, right? I know this stuff is becoming, we're human beings. And we've been living in abnormal situations for a while. We need to change that, because people are more successful in life when they're comfortable and when you're comfortable at home. Now, most players do not call, like I could look out at the Padres. I guarantee you the majority of the Padres do not live in San Diego full time. Most players go to Arizona, they go to Nevada, they go to Texas, they go to Florida. They go where there's either 0 state taxes or there is very little tax, right? There was a point when the A's and Giants, you looked at them in the Bay Area, and the only person that lived full-time in the Bay Area was Bob Melvin, lived in Berkeley. So the majority, point is, Yankee players don't live in New York. Mets players don't live in New York. Twins players don't live in the Twin Cities. They all live somewhere else, but during the season, they have their places. That's theirs. It's their bed. You have your bed. You have the things that are hanging up. You have your artwork, and you have your kids' stuff. And Brent Rooker talked about the house that he has here, that when he first got here, all he was doing was unloading boxes and putting his daughter's toys together. So his kids feel normal. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's about everybody starting to have a place. And now is really, I think, the first homestand that the A's will be able to have a place, and a place that's going to be, this is going to be normal for this team, and you'll have that going forward for the next. So you'll have your place for the next 3 years. There's been a lot of stuff that's been just abnormal, and we need to get normalcy. And I'm hoping this is the start, this series right here.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the normalcy and all that and finding spots to go. Like today, from my hotel, I walked over to a spot with one of our coworkers, Melissa Guzman, who takes care of all the families and the kids. And we walked over to a coffee shop, and we walked in the menu. People can't see it on the screen, but I'm showing you one of the sandwiches is called the Brent Rooker.
Really?
So the coffee shop, Old Soul Coffee, I believe it's the place where Rooker and the players went when they came here in January.
Yeah.
When they came up to Sacramento, I went in there, had no idea that's the place where they went. Saw it was a bagel with egg and all the stuff that Rooker went to. And I was like, well, look, it's the family, the city is getting behind the team and Brent Rooker. So
there is like a condo. There's like now they look like new condos down the right field line here.
Oh, yeah.
And I noticed when I pulled up today, there's an A's flag flying from one of the condos. So where we go, there's billboards here. You go around town, like when I'm walking around. So my hotel is very close to the Capitol.
Same.
and where I have the A's gear on, people are like, hey, A's, so we're starting to settle in a little bit.
What was the one thing that we both sent to each other last night that we saw for the first time?
They lit the beam last night.
We saw the beam all night.
I went to I walked over to the Capitol. I've never been to the Capitol.
Me either.
I talked to you about I crossed the bridge the other night and I got to see it. I went, wow, that's awesome. Made me think of the United States Capitol. So last night after I got done, after we got done at NBC in San Francisco, I drove here. And then last night I was walking around town and I took a picture and I went up to the Capitol. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I checked into my hotel and I was like, I want to get out and walk a little bit. I walked over there, but the first thing I saw when I walked up, boom, right there in the sky, the beam.
The beam,
they went over the cabs yesterday.
The beam stays lit here for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure because that game was
it a home game or a road game?
They were in Cleveland.
So they light the beam even on road games.
I guess so. Like, we're finding things out all the time. So
have you figured out how I can light the beam?
I have not. I don't have that kind of pull.
You're worthless.
You know who has pull like that? Caray probably does.
Chris Caray?
He's Mr. Sacramento now.
Chris Carey's got no pull. I had to bring him on just so people know he still has a job.
Then we cut him off early, which is the best.
And then we threw him out.
You got the Johnny treatment, kid.
And we're going to the Kings game on Wednesday, right?
I believe so.
We're going to do Wednesday's a day game here, and then we're going to go over. I have not been. I drive by it every day coming to work. I've not been to the Golden One Center.
Yeah, I've actually been there once for a Kings-Sixers game, and it was awesome. The atmosphere. This was years ago for the Kings were actually good. They were still building, and they were. This is when the Sixers were good, and they beat the Sixers, and it was awesome to see a game there. I can't wait to go again. And
Sixers aren't good?
They were terrible this year. Joel Embiid's not playing. Paul George isn't
Moses
playing.
Malone and Dr. J and Mo Cheeks are not there anymore?
You're telling me Allen Iverson's not on the team anymore? Larry Brown's not coaching?
Practice, man.
We're
talking about practice.
I do know that we are doing a
I've never agreed with a human being more. And the backstory is on the great Allen Iverson that he was at a bar. Now, this is a press conference during the day.
Yes.
Whoever was his buddy that went drinking with him at the bar, who thought it'd be a good idea to get liquored up before you went over to the press conference, was not a great idea. It's not a great idea.
Probably not.
But it made for one of the greatest press conferences of all time. So Allen Iverson shows up, and people are questioning his work ethic, and you've all seen it. Practice, man. What are we talking? We're talking about practice. I agree. What are we talking about?
Not a game.
Not a game. He
Practice.
shows up. Did he not show up for games? And did he not compete? And was Allen Iverson not great in games?
He was. He was on a prolific score, and I don't like using that term, but he was a prolific.
Allen Iverson was badass.
He carried that Sixer team of, I hate to use the word bums because they're professional players, but bums to the NBA Finals, and they
sound like some of our callers. We need to stop calling people names.
Can you name any player that's on the team besides Allen Iverson that year?
No.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what years he played.
Aaron McKee and Eric Snow and Theo Ratliff, the late Dikembe Mutombo.
Right.
That's about the only guys I can remember on that team.
Yeah, man.
I think that was pre-Keith Van Horn. Maybe Keith Van Horn was there, the Utah Ute great.
Who was the guy, it might have been NBA, who refused, it's an all-time great, who refused shoot-around, who basically said, I'm coming here one time a day. You want me to come for shoot-around, or do you want me to come for the game?
I feel like that's something Larry Bird would have said.
No, it wasn't Larry Bird. It was somebody. By the way, Larry Bird, I had to throw this out to everybody. Larry Bird, the last guy before this Florida kid, Larry Bird scored 30-plus points in the Elite Eight and the Final Four. No three-point line. Larry Bird was the last guy to do that. Got to go back to 1979.
Indiana State. I forget what their mascot is.
Who was the guy that said that? It's a great one. I'm coming here one time. You want me to come for shoot-around, or you want me to come for the game?
We'll Google it during the commercial.
I do like practice. I think we all need to practice. We need to work on things. But, hey, it's like you want me to show up tomorrow for Scott Emerson at 3 o'clock. I show up here at 4:30 to perform. What time you want me here? You want me here at 3 or you want me here at 4:30?
I'll go 4:30. I was going to say 3, and then we can just run that interview for over and over.
For emo, we got it. I forgot. We got Max Muncy in today, too.
Real quick, though. This is a read for we're calling it the Tower Bridge doubleheader. Be there for the first pitch, the final buzzer. Your Tower Bridge doubleheader includes a lawn ticket to our game against the Padres on Wednesday and an upper-level ticket to the Kings game when they host. Nikola Jokic the multiple-time MVP of the Denver Nuggets, on Wednesday. Catch both games Wednesday, April 9th for just $60 by visiting athletics.com/TB doubleheader. That's athletics.com TB doubleheader.
We're going to that Kings game. It's against the Nuggets.
You get to see Sabonis versus Jokic. That's a great matchup of two big men that can play the game all around. We call them stretch fives now.
Yeah.
I'm a hoop head.
We don't have big men anymore.
Well, they shoot three-pointers.
Yeah, they shoot three-pointers.
There's also one more real quick for Vito.
Kareem's not walking through that door. Okay, is this the Vito show?
Yeah, I'm promoting the organization.
Wow.
Get 2 tickets for just $25 for select games. Spring into baseball season with this limited time offer to reserve your seats to the start of the A's inaugural season at West Sacramento. This is online only deal, ends April 9th. That's Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. It's a 2 for $25 flash sale on select April and May games. Athletics.com/flash sale. That's athletics.com/flash sale. April and May games. Deal ends April 9th, Wednesday at 11:59 p.m.
I'm looking forward to this series. Let's see what the A's got. See what you got.
Padres are good. They're 8-2, and they're the third best team in their division.
Well, remember this. The Cubs came in here and took it to the A's.
And they've been playing well lately. They lost yesterday, but they've been playing well.
They then beat the Padres 2 straight games. Padres were undefeated. Cubs went home, had their home opener, beat the Padres 2 straight. They had the Padres beat yesterday. Padres have a little bit of this comeback in them. They did it last year, and they did it at Wrigley Field yesterday. But still, the Cubs took 2 out of 3. So I'm wondering, you split with Seattle. You get whooped by Chicago. You take 2 out of 3 from Colorado, so it's kind of like, who are the A's? I think we're going to find out. This is a good team you're going to face, and then, of course, the Mets are going to come to town, the highest payroll in the history of Major League Baseball. Everybody still thinks it's the Dodgers. No, the highest payroll is still the New York Mets. So let's see who are the A's. We're going to find out because Padres are a good team.
Yeah, Luis Severino needs a rebound after his first start here in West Sacramento, and you're going to see Michael King, who's been great for the Padres, and he was probably the centerpiece of that trade for Juan Soto when they traded him to the Yankees. King has been great for them. I can't believe the Yankees were like, yeah, you know what, we don't need him. I mean, I get it, you got Juan Soto, but the guy they were trying to pitch out of the bullpen is maybe the Padres' best pitcher.
But at that time, you're not thinking Soto was a rent-a-player. You're thinking Soto's going to go there. He's going to love it. He's going to be a Yankee for life. You're going to put him out in the monuments.
Yeah.
All right, Tony Gwynn Jr. is going to join us from the Padres broadcast team right here on A's Cast Live.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall, folsomlakeford.com.
That ball is out of here.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game time, schedules, and more.
New A's starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs outlines the similarities between the young A's and his old team in Tampa Bay.
A lot of similarities in a lot of the ways, in the sense of like young guys, a lot of talented, young players that are establishing themselves or have, established themselves in the last year or two, and really finding, their way, their path, and kind of, making the adjustments. So it's exciting, watching, the guys throw, the guys hit, and then, like you said, competing against them the last couple of years. The talent, it's exciting, when you kind of have younger guys that are hungry and eager to play. Those can be dangerous teams. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
Calling all college and grad students. Grab your friends and head to the ballpark with this special offer. Save up to 50% off select regular season games throughout the 2025 season. Get your discounted tickets at athletics.com/student. Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick. In a sense, it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun. I owe a ton to this organization, the people in it, for giving me the opportunity that I was looking for a while, and I'm grateful I was able to take advantage of it and get to this point.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
Streaming from West Sacramento, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, if you're going to talk Padres baseball, but if you're going to talk about anything San Diego, he's one of the great San Diego State Aztecs. Tony Gwynn Jr. is with us here. How are you? It's been a while.
I'm well, Chris. How about yourself?
What do you think of the new little setup we got here?
You know what? It's nice. I mean, since the last time I was here, it was about a little over 10 years ago. This place is taking on a different look with the big league team here.
No doubt about it. And then for us, this is where we do A's Cast Live. Then we'll do the NBC with Steve Sachs. We'll be doing the TV pre and post here. So we got our little perch here. So
you guys
things
got a nice
are
setup.
bad here, West Sacramento.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, let's start with the Padres. Off to an unbelievable start.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely red hot. A lot of the DNA and the same things that you saw last year are going again this year.
Yeah, no, this team talked a lot about continuity during spring training. And, you know, when you're in spring training, it's tough to kind of see what it's going to look like. You know, guys are getting a couple of bats here. The lineups aren't quite what they will be come opening day. But by the time we got to the end of spring training, you could start to see each of the pieces kind of rounding into shape. And then when the season started, these guys hit the ground running. They really played pretty close to flawless baseball through the first 7. Now, you know, as it turned out, the next 3, they didn't play as flawless baseball, and they end up losing 2 or 3. But all in all, this has been a pretty good start for them.
Well, we started here against the Cubs. They wiped the floor with the A's, and everybody's kind of like, uh-oh. And then you see them go home, take the first 2 against San Diego, and you start to realize Cubs are on a little bit of a heater.
They're not only are they a little bit of a heater, that's a pretty well put-together team. I mean, they don't have some of the big-time stars, although Kyle Tucker's playing extremely well. They play a very fundamentally sound game. That'll be the best defensive team, one of the better defensive teams we have in baseball. Can they continue to put up the offensive numbers moving forward? I think we'll find out, but they're playing some good baseball.
One of the things that I like about the style of baseball that we're going to see, and we're going to talk to you about Jacob Wilson, some of our hitters, the younger kids, but a lot of what you see with the Padres don't strike out. Padres put the ball in play.
Yeah.
Padres hit for average. Yeah, there's power, and there's a ton of skill, but I like the philosophy that it is not what we have seen so much of just home run, strikeout, walk.
There's some variety there up and down that lineup. And Victor Rodriguez, the Padres hitting coach, has really kind of coined the term of Petco Park hitting. And, you know, that's just really line drive, gap to gap. And, you know, when you get a little bit out in front of one and you clip one, all of a sudden, you know, the ball goes over the fence. And this is an offense that when they're right and they're playing right, they're not trying to do anything more than what the pitcher's giving them. And we've seen them be able to string together big innings, whether it's, you know, 7, 8 singles in a row or mixing in some extra bases or even, you know, hitting the ball out of the yard. There's a variety of different type of offensive player when you go up and down the Padres lineup, and it's served them well.
How much do you like, and whether it's Padres or 29 other teams, when you see someone like Jackson Merrill say, I want to be here, could I get more money later? I'm getting 170, whatever it is.
Right.
And, you know, Tatis, I want to be here, and we're seeing it around baseball. Vlad Guerrero Jr. just did it. How do you feel as a former player seeing guys agents and everybody wants you to go to free agency, but you know what? I like my situation. I want to be here.
What I love about our game is there's different mindsets and different people doing different things. I think we went through a period of time where guys were trying to maximize what they were going to make in this game. You don't know how long that window is going to be, so I'll never begrudge somebody from wanting to max out because tomorrow it could be all done. You might not have a chance to play at that level where you can garner that kind of money. However, we have seen here recently where guys have, considered the community that they're in, the comfort level that they have where they are on top of the pretty good money, more than pretty good money that they're already getting. Guys have been, secure in that. That's not going to be everybody, but certainly if you're a Padre fan, you're a Blue Jay fan, you're pretty happy that these guys that were homegrown guys have decided to stay for a long period of time.
Yeah, we just had that with Lawrence Butler, and I think we're going to be doing that with a lot of our players. And I think if you look at that kind of way of going about business, your father is the guy that everybody looked at that could have left San Diego but always wanted to stay where he went to college, and with your mother raised the family, raised you guys, and he always wanted to stay in that community. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, because as you know, I grew up in San Diego watching your dad. I remember when I watched your dad at San Diego State. I watched your uncle at San Jose State, the great Chris Gwynn, right? So I watched these guys, and Jacob Wilson, you're going to see it. It's just there is this skill set of being able to constantly make contact, to not strike out, and always be barreling up the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, his father came from an era where that was still how you went about the game in terms of hitting and being an offensive type of player. And I think for Jacob, as he starts to figure out who he is at the big league level, that will evolve. But he has the foundation that we're seeing right now in terms of putting the ball in play, taking the type of swing depending on the count that you're in. Those things are something that a lot of guys have to acquire over time. He's already come up to this level kind of understanding that, and I think that's an advantage for any young hitter, especially one that has the skill set that he has.
What is it for a player who grew up around it? You grew up in the clubhouse. When I used to do Warriors, I used to talk about with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Their dads were in the NBA.
Right.
What was it like for you? What do you think it's like? What is that kind of advantage you may have over other guys because you grew up in the life?
There's definitely an advantage, and I don't think you necessarily understand it until you're in the shoes, right? I think when you're younger, you're kind of just soaking it in. But the advantage is you kind of have an idea of what to expect each level that you go to. You've had those conversations. In my case, it was with my uncle and my father that kind of give you some insight. You won't know what it actually feels like until you walk through it, but you got an idea. I think the other thing that happens for guys who got a chance to be in a big league clubhouse, when you get to that level, if you're fortunate enough to get to that level, you know how to conduct yourself. You know how to be a pro. You know what it looks like. And that evolves over time. But to have kind of that advantage going in, I think, it also helps you with your veteran teammates because you understand kind of the pecking order. You understand the kind of the do's and don'ts going into that locker room, or at least you should if you had a chance to be in that locker room at an early age.
Well, I'll tell you what, the National League West, you look at it, I mean, the way the start, Giants are our old buddy Bob Melvin, and the Giants are off to a hot start. We know the D-backs are a very talented team.
Yeah.
I mean, Colorado is what they are. We were in Colorado. We saw that there. It's going to be Buddy Black, another Aztec. It's going to
be some time.
It's going to be a rough year, but just talk about the division. Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty stout. I mean, you got the Dodgers, you got the Padres. Those two teams have proven over the last, however many years that they're teams that you got to pay attention to. You got to take serious. The Diamondbacks, you can argue that they put themselves in that position too. They've been right there or in it deep the last couple of seasons. The Giants, I think they made some great acquisitions over the offseason that I think put them in a spot where I still think they're the fourth best team, but what is the fourth between the best team in the National League West at the top versus fourth? I don't think there's going to be a lot of space between these teams.
Not everybody's making the playoffs.
No, not everybody's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Certainly not. But all four of them will be in contention to get into the playoffs, I think. So It's early. It's only been 10, 11 games at this point. Teams are still trying to figure out who they are, but I think all 4 of those teams are going to be teams to be reckoned with when it's all said and done.
How different is LA than when you were there?
I think I caught the beginning of them turning into what they are now. As that new ownership group came in, you could see that they had a game plan that they want to execute. And, to their credit, they've been on time and they've done it the right way, I think, moving forward. I think there's a reason why players are willing to go there, defer money and things like that. They've set up a pretty good environment for it.
Because I have not been down there since before COVID, and I haven't really traveled since COVID, but just from people I talk, it's just if you were around the Dodgers and who I do the TV with, Steve Sachs, and everybody tell you, it's a different deal now.
It is.
The Dodgers world is a different world.
I mean, listen, when you're pouring that kind of money into your roster, things are going to change. That's just kind of how it is. And they have as much star power as we have in any other team in this league. And I think the international play there with Towny and Sasaki. I mean, there's so many different elements that play into that place being what it is. It's unique. There's no doubt about it.
Did you tell them that you'd defer hundreds of millions?
No, I did not tell them. I didn't get the opportunity to tell them.
Hey, I'll defer. I'll defer. If you want to defer it, I'll defer it. I'll do
listen, it's a brilliant plan if you're an athlete to be able to have some money stacked away for when you're no longer playing. As I said, this window's short, and for most people, for an athlete, you have that small window to make as much as you can, and then you got to figure out what else you're going to do with the rest of your life. Some of us are fortunate to be able to hop into a second career and find it easy. It's not always that easy for everybody.
Yeah, it was very sad. Let's end on this. It was sad with Peter Seidler, what this franchise meant to him and the city, and things are definitely changing. We've been reading about it, but the whole thing, like for the Padres, is this a team, do you think, that can really withstand 162 toe-to-toe? Wild card's one thing. Yeah. Can you win the division?
I think they can. I think getting off to the kind of start that they have was important because typically the Dodgers create their space, at least in the last few years, early in the season. And then they're able to kind of deal with all the things that come with a big league season because they've been able to create so much space. So I think it's important for the Pods to play well early to kind of keep pace because I tell you one thing, being around these guys in spring training, I have no doubt that they believe that they can go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers as they are right now. And they felt like that. They felt like that over the last couple of seasons, and we started to kind of finally see it turn in their direction a little bit. Unfortunately, those last couple of games, those last, 20-something innings that they had in the playoffs was left a bad taste in their mouth, and I think that's kind of why you've seen them start the way that they have.
Well, from the kid that was jarring Yankee fans at the 98 World Series to you're like a media star now.
I don't know about that, but I definitely had some fun at that 98 World Series.
Oh, that's still a great clip when your dad goes deep and you're ripping those guys.
That was
great.
It was a fleeting moment, but it was a moment though, nonetheless.
Hey, it's always great to have you on the program.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, do you want to go to Muncy now? We did a thing with Max Muncy right before we're going to Muncy now.
So Muncy's like 10 minutes long, so we'll still have about 2 minutes left after. But yeah, we can do that, sure.
All right. From Tony Gwynn Jr. to Max Muncy, we caught up with him over the weekend in Colorado. It was snowy. It was cold. Oof. Here is Max Muncy. Here on A's Cast Live, Max Muncy. Max, how are you in Colorado?
I'm doing great out here. A little cold, but good.
Have you thawed out from yesterday's action yet?
Yeah, I thawed out. I went home and hid in the hotel room for a little while. Didn't go back outside.
Yeah, just talk about what it was like playing in the elements as it was basically snow flurries all game long, and then the wind kicked up, and you're talking about the wind chill factor. Didn't look comfortable.
Yeah, definitely since it was their opening day, the introductions was the worst part, just standing on the line, 10, 15 minutes. But I did kind of enjoy it. It was kind of cool to be out in the snow and, play a game like that, high intensity game, like in the snow and the cold, kind of gets you. If it's a close game, it kind of gets you a little warmer, if that makes sense. If you're up or down by a lot, sometimes it gets you can start feeling the cold more.
Well, obviously that was a big win for the team. especially after the rough homestand. You guys had a day off. You had a lot of time to think about it. Just talk about what it was like in the clubhouse after the game. I'm hearing Mark Kotze was pretty pumped up.
Yeah, pretty fired up. The guys just felt like we did a great job staying in that game, and obviously there was a couple tipping points. Could have gone our way, could have gone the other way, but it seemed like we really tried to take control of the game and just fight for that win.
Now, if you remember back spring training, we had you in the dugout. We're doing all our spring training interviews, and I ended our interview with saying, I don't know when, but you will be in Sacramento this year, just not as an aviator, but as an A. And you agreed, and we had a good time with it. But I told you, and then next thing you know, you're making the opening day roster. What was that like when Mark Kotze told you that you were making the opening day roster with this ball club?
It was definitely a little surprising. I remember it kind of seemed like the trend was like, hey, we know we'll need you at some point, but go get started in AAA. Like, go get your feet under you, and then, be ready to come up at any moment. And then within like 2 days, that flipped into, hey, listen, like, we need you now. Like, you're coming to the big leagues.
So you had 48 hours to mentally prepare going back to Las Vegas. And, oh, no, everything we told you 2 days ago, scrap that. Kelloff's hurt, you're in.
Yeah, it seemed like the first day it was like, started looking around. I was like, like, I don't know what's going to happen. It started like they stopped saying stuff about AAA. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then 24 hours before we flew out, they were like, hey, you're on a flight tomorrow, so like get your stuff packed. I was like, all right.
It is a great example for all young athletes always to be ready, because you never know when that time is going to come.
I know. Even if they tell you, hey, it's not now, it's still like they told me no, and then it was yes. So
yeah, that's pretty incredible. What was the phone? Who was the first person you called, and what was that like when you started calling around saying, yeah, it's not Vegas, it's the big leagues?
Yeah, so I called my mom and had her find my dad, and I told them together. And then after that, I tried to call like one or two buddies from home, but I had to go to the Cubs game because I had to just be a reserve on the bench. So after they told me, I only had 20 minutes before I had to leave. So I made like as many quick calls as I could, and my parents answered, luckily, and then nobody else answered. So then I just left. I just went to the game.
Oh, it's just it's magical. It's absolutely magical. So you've dreamt about this your entire life. I mean, obviously, I remember when we first interviewed you, when you were drafted out of high school, and we were talking about your experience and where you're going to go. And you've been thinking about this moment for a long time. So just take us through, the first week or so. What has it been like for you, your dreams coming true?
Yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment period. It's Major League Baseball. Like, there's good players and there's good pitchers, and the defense can play. So I think it's definitely been a learning experience that I'm like blessed to have this early in my career. And I think that if I could just take all these lessons and all this knowledge that I'm getting from the coaching staff and other players and even opposing players, that, it's going to work in my favor.
Yeah, some people just dream about being opening day and being announced. You've now done 3 opening days in your career.
Yeah. 3 opening days in 1 year.
That's pretty crazy. It's been a wild ride. Have you had that moment where you sit back and go, wow, I can't believe this is real? I don't know whether it was at T-Mobile or it was the opening day in Sacramento. Maybe it was yesterday in Colorado, but has there been that moment for you like, wow, I'm in the big leagues?
I think it might have actually been yesterday with the snow, because like I was just kind of looking around, snow's coming down, like everyone's getting fired up for a game, and I was like, dude, we're in the big leagues and it's snowing on Colorado's opening day. And I've played in that stadium 100 times in video games, and I've played in that weather 100 times in high Lansing. But, to put the cold weather, I associate cold weather with basically high A. So to have that weather and then be in the big leagues is like, wow, I'm really here and I'm really playing in the stadium right now.
Well, obviously, once you get here, everything is put on video. They know everything about you. Not only are our coaches and our basically research department is everything that you do, but the other team's research department and their coaching staffs are like, have you seen adjustments already that the other teams are starting to make to you?
Yeah, I definitely see like at bat to a bat, and I started to figure out that, certain teams do certain things, and, obviously not all their reports are the same. So the 3 teams I've faced so far, they haven't all tried to do the same thing to me. It seems like they've all tried to do something a little different or they think they've picked up something on my report that, their pitchers are better at exploiting. But it's kind of a cat and mouse game that you just kind of play up here.
Has routine changed at all for you going from the minor leagues to the big leagues? Because obviously things are a lot different of how you travel, how you get to the ballpark, how early, what you prepare. Has things changed, or are you sticking with the same routine?
I've definitely tried to keep a lot of the stuff that I did in the minor leagues because obviously that helped me get here. But I think the coaching staff has added a couple things that make sense to put in my routine, and just stuff I haven't thought about, and just stuff that I probably am going to need going forward.
How much video, how much research, how much numbers? Are you one of those guys that really gets into the numbers, or you more traditional see ball, hit ball? How do you go about your business?
Yeah, I do a glimpse of the numbers. I definitely look at them, but I don't want to dive too deep into them. I kind of like to see what the pitcher's doing that day, because just like being a hitter, some days just your approach isn't feeling right or your swing isn't feeling right, so you got to go with something else. I think that's the same with pitchers. Is maybe they're 50% slider, but that day it's not working. So I kind of want to keep that in mind. So instead of going full report and numbers, I kind of want to see what they're doing that day and see what they have working.
What's always interesting to me when I talk to guys going from the minor leagues to the big leagues is the one thing that there is a difference is the numbers for you defensively. Mm-hmm. Like all of a sudden you've got a lot of numbers on the other team. So much is about you and what you're doing in the minor leagues. Now you really have to win games up here. Talk to us about the metrics on where you're going to place yourself on defense, every single hitter. I mean, there's a lot of information from a defensive side that you got to study.
Yeah, obviously I'm not the one crunching those numbers, so I kind of like put my faith in them with that. So they're just letting me know with runners on, what certain hitters tend to do, where they tend to hit the ball, and kind of where I should just be positioned based on their tendencies throughout the last couple of years on, where they're going to shoot the ball. So if it's a pull guy and, we know he's going to try to score a runner on second, he's going to try to pull it and get him in, and I'm at second, I'm going to be shifted more up the middle, trying to, protect him pulling something up towards center. So it's really, I don't obviously crunch the numbers on that. The analytics team does. So I just read them and I know what they mean and know where to play. But past that, that's over my head.
Yeah, it's called trust the process. You're gonna trust it. All right, let's end on this. Usually there's somebody that's gonna help you out through your journey, especially early, right? It's just how our game works. There's somebody who's like a mentor to you, whether it's a coach, it's a player, to making sure everything's going well. Because someday when you're a longtime veteran, you'll be doing that for a rookie. Has there been somebody that's really stepped up that's helped you so far?
I can't say one person because it really feels like majority of the older guys on the team have come in and tried to help. Knowing that I'm off to a slow start, it just seems like obviously they're good hitters and they've all kind of given me a thing or two to work on or a thing or two to think about. So it's really kind of been like a team guidance kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell everybody what I told you the other day in Sacramento when I saw you, and I said, you know what? Seize the moment.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity. You've waited, your entire life. This is your dream, and now it's in front of you, and now it's time for you to seize the moment. This is what you've always wanted. It's right in front of you. This is one of the greatest gifts. So congratulations on everything. You got a big future with this organization, and go out and seize that moment.
I will. Thank you.
Max, be well, my friend. We'll talk to you back in Sacramento on Monday.
Okay. Have a good one.
Max Muncy trying to figure it out here at the big league level. Hopefully he'll get that back going. Is he in the lineup tonight?
He is batting ninth.
Getting that opportunity. Seize the moment. Absolutely seize the moment. Padres taking BP right now. Getting you ready for A's and the Padres, as that'll be 3 games here at the ballpark in West Sacramento, followed by a day off on Thursday, and then Juan Soto and the New York Mets come to town. A lot of National League here early. Chicago, San Diego, and New York.
Get them out of the way early. I heard you mention yesterday, I can't remember if it was on A's Cast on NBC Sports California, if it was on A's Talk, but you mentioned Interleague, and I was going to text you. Interleague, are we still calling it that?
Technically, yes.
I know it's now that everyone plays a balanced schedule and everyone plays everyone.
Lineup is a little bit different. J.J. Bleday has been moved down, and he's going to be hitting 6th. Still going to be Butler and Rooker, but Tyler Soderstrom with the red-hot bat hit in 359 with a 1,123 OPS. Tyler Soderstrom will hit 3rd, followed by Shea Langoliers hitting 4th. Says a lot. Jacob Wilson will be hitting 7th. I think at some point we're going to see Jacob Wilson hit 2.
I heard you mention that yesterday on Ace Talk that, that he could.
That's where I would put him ideally long term.
Because we saw this start with, what was that, about 10 plus years ago when Mike Trout started batting second for the Angels.
You started Trout and Donaldson.
Yeah, you started putting your best hitters. Those guys have a lot more power than Jacob Wilson does, but those guys were batting in the 2 spot starting out about 10 years ago. And now you're starting to see a lot of, like, Rooker's doing it now, and then maybe eventually you can put Wilson there, Butler lead off, and then those are the guys that Rooker and Langoliers and Soderstrom can drive in.
It's going to be a beautiful night here at the ballpark. Coming up next, we're going to have...
Still got a minute. Let's pause 10 seconds for station ID right here on Ace Cast.
What do we have on tomorrow's show?
We're going to have Scott Emerson that we're taping at pretty much the crack of dawn to appease Emo. But we'll have Emo because we try to do them every Tuesday when we're here at home, which is great. I think we're going to bring back Hot Take Tuesday with Johnny.
Oh, it's a hot take tomorrow? I got to come up with a hot take?
What's Johnny going to say? Roman Anthony's going to be the center fielder of the future for the Red Sox.
I talked to Darren Bush, the hitting coach, today. And Darren Bush, also the bench coach, Darren Bush will join us. I'm not sure exactly. I think we're going to have him this homestand.
Okay, cool.
He's a great guy to talk to about with these bats and what's good for the bats. And you went from I got a
15 seconds.
You're just fickle.
Yeah.
You're like, we got over a minute.
I'm looking
15.
I'm looking at the world clock now. 10.
All right, coming up next, Johnny D's got you, and then we'll have Ace Cast on NBC Sports California. Thank you to Chris Caray, Jacob Wilson, Tony Gwynn Jr., and Max Muncy. We'll see you all tomorrow right here on A's Cast Live.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
This has been a presentation